Figuring out when to introduce a bottle into your breastfeeding journey can be confusing, and a lot of the information that is available is often cluttered with opinions. Lots and lots of opinions that don't take your specific situation, wants, or needs into consideration. The three factors that we're going to be taking into consideration today that influence timing of when to introduce a bottle into your breastfed journey have to do with your specific circumstances, nipple bias, alternative feeding methods, and then we're also going to tie all of that in together so that way you have a real life example. And make sure and stay till the end because there's a golden nugget in here in order to avoid those situations of, I really hope somebody had told me this before. Because that's inevitably going to happen throughout your journey. It's a learning process for you, for your little one, and we're all here to learn together. Congratulations on your journey, whether you're breastfeeding now or you're preparing for your journey. And if you are intrigued by this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button so other mamas with questions can see this video as well. Your specific situation is absolutely going to influence when you choose to introduce a bottle into your breastfeeding journey. So simply put, if you have special circumstances like your little one's in NICU or has special needs or you're going to be separated from your little one, then it's obvious that you're going to have to introduce milk or nutrition into their body via something that's not your body. If you don't have any specific special circumstances, then the timing really comes down to what you want and what you need. What do you want? Like seriously, what do you want to actually have happen? And even if you're not sure, you can ask yourself, in order to break this down, in order to figure out what it is that you actually want to do, why do you want to give a bottle? Is it because you're going to have to head back to work at some point and you're looking to prepare yourself or prepare the baby to make sure that they take a bottle? Or are you really struggling right now and just super exhausted and you would like to share the feeding with somebody else so that way you can get extra rest? Or maybe you would like to incorporate the feeding experience with your partner or siblings or grandparents. Whatever the reason is, it's really good for you to go ahead and identify it, because figuring out your why will ultimately help you figure out the actual time that's good for you to introduce a bottle and the steps necessary to introduce it and be successful. Two main reasons why many families are told that they need to wait to introduce a bottle or that they just need to delay the whole process overall is so that mom can establish a adequate and full milk supply for her little one, and to make sure that baby has a really good latch and a good foundation for a good latch before going back and forth to different nipples, or and by different nipples, bottle nipple, pacifier, breast, those are all different, and it can cause a little bit of bias, confusion, or preference for the little one, which ultimately makes things difficult for mom. So I do hear myself saying actually and nipples a lot, and we can actually we can turn this into a drinking game. Hydration. So every time I say actually or nipples, take a sip because we're in for some good stuff. And yes, I do have these two things here because I too am a nursing mom and a lactation consultant on top of it. So I am in this with you at the time of this video. I am still nursing my little ones. They're not physically attached to me right now. And I say they because, yep, nursing two of them. But I just want you to know that. And yeah, I do say actually and nipples a lot. Yeah, you gotta take a drink. Okay, so what is nipple bias? Or some folks call it nipple confusion, nipple preference. Basically what happens is there's texture, there's flow, there's shape, and all of this affects the stimulation in your little one's mouth. So nipple preference can adversely affect a breastfeeding journey just because it can make things more difficult for mom in trying to figure out, okay, well, why is my baby not latching appropriately? Or if there was a good latch and now the baby's not latching, and there's a couple different things that go into avoiding the confusion for mama and the preferences for your little one. So a baby might prefer an artificial nipple over mom's breast if they find it easier to actually get the milk from the bottle nipple versus mom. And they might find it easier to take milk from a bottle because they're just chugging it down. They don't actually have to work for the milk to come out of the bottle. or they don't have to have a wide latch. So in order to mitigate all of that and to reduce that friction, choose a nipple that mimics the breast. When you think of getting a nipple or a bottle that looks like the breast, what you really want to look for is a bottle nipple that will promote a deep latch. Okay, so a deep latch is important, so that way your little one can practice the same drinking techniques or similar drinking techniques at the bottle, so when they come back to the breast, there's less friction and a seamless transition. Another thing that is really important is nipple flow. So the flow of the nipple is really important because we see things like preemie 0, 1, 2, 3, things with shapes, and there's really no explanation behind it. Guess what? A lot of that is based on formula, because as babies age, they have to take in more and more formula or different type of formula, and formula can actually become thicker and thicker. Therefore, the nipple flow, or you have to increase the nipple flow to allow for thicker formula to actually go through the nipple. When it comes to breast milk, we don't have to worry about that. So what you do want to do is pick a flow that is similar to you. Better yet, something slower than you. And if you have a heavy letdown, I don't want you comparing the nipple from the bottle to your heavy letdown, because your flow at the breast changes throughout your entire nursing session as well as throughout the day. So in order to In order to set yourself up for success, go ahead and pick something slower than your flow. The slowest flow usually works best. Now that you've picked the shape of the nipple and the flow, it's time to actually give your baby the bottle. Now, you want to practice something called intuitive bottle feeding or paced bottle feeding. And the premise behind this is to actually allow your little one to work at the bottle, be able to take breaks, and drink at their own rate instead of chugging it all down. While sometimes it might be convenient for us to have our babies drink an entire bottle in 3 to 5 minutes, realistically, that is not healthy for their development. It's not healthy for gut development, and it can lead to a fussy, gassy, uncomfortable baby, and that's not what we want. So practicing intuitive or paced bottle feeding is really important. The reason why I call it intuitive bottle feeding is so that way you can really tie your intuition into how you're feeding your little one, instead of looking at this as another rule, another thing that you have to memorize. And it really shouldn't have to be that way. If you have already introduced the bottle to your little one, what was your experience like? Share in the comments below. So let's say you're not quite ready on a personal level to give your little one a bottle. Or on the flip side of that, your baby's not ready to actually accept and drink from a bottle. Whether it's their muscle tone, any oral restrictions, or just poor suck coordination at the bottle. What can you do? So there are alternative feeding methods, and these are just different devices that you can use in order to put your milk into it and have your baby drink from it. And they're pretty simple, actually. So there's a cup, and it can be a medicine cup. You can use a spoon. So this is probably where being born with a silver spoon in your mouth actually comes from, because with status, people use a silver spoon to feed a baby. Syringe feeding is a great option. Finger feeding. So finger feeding is where there's a tube connected to a syringe, and then the tip of the tube is on your finger, taped to your finger, and the little one is able to suck on your finger and still get that nutrition. Similar to that, there is something called a SNS, or a supplemental nursing system, and it's very similar to having a syringe or a bottle hanging around your neck or on your shoulder, and there's a tube connected to the bottle, which is then taped to your breast, and the tip of the straw is near your nipple. So while your little one is nursing, they're also getting that extra milk or nutrition from that supplemental nursing system. Another alternative feeding method or contraption that is less known about is something called a palade, and it kind of looks like a genie lamp. But the whole point is it allows for your little one to be able to be spoon-fed, cup-fed. It's like a combination of the two. It's pretty cool, it's very effective, and it's used wider in other countries. Knowing that there are other options can be really helpful in reducing anxiety amongst the entire family, or at least with mama. So then you don't have to worry that, okay, well, what if I'm not ready for this? You have other options, and it's okay to use other options. It's okay to experiment, and it's okay to change your mind as well, because you have to be comfortable. along your journey. If you are using an alternative feeding method and it's because your little one isn't able to coordinate their suck or they're just having trouble overall, I encourage you, I empower you to ask questions, whether it's to other medical professionals or a lactation consultant. It's important to find out why and how to fix it. As a lactation consultant specializing in oral restrictions, there are stretches, there are exercises that you can do in order to help your little one build strength, the actual coordination, and promote proper oral function. It's really important to set this foundation because oral function plays a huge role in breathing, your little one's sleep, their eating habits later on, and speech, of course. So let's tie this all together. What do we have to do? All right, so here's the example. You are an exclusively breastfeeding mama who wants to offer breast milk for the first 6 months before offering solid food, and ultimately your goal is to get your little one to have breast milk for an entire year or more. Woo woo, extended breastfeeding. So when do you introduce the bottle? 3 to 4 weeks is actually pretty good instead of waiting 4 to 6 weeks. So hear me out. By the time 3 to 4 weeks comes around, as long as you have a good latch and established milk supply, then you're good to go. So a good latch does not hurt, and it allows for adequate milk transfer to your little one. So keep an eye on poops and pees and make sure your little one is growing. And an established milk supply tells you that as well, that your little one is pooping and peeing and growing. So those are things that you need to consider before offering a bottle. Well, on the flip side, what if you're just really struggling, the latch is not great, you're worried about your milk supply, you're not getting any sleep, and you are just about to break? Quite frankly, you probably want to quit. Offer the bottle. There's nothing wrong with that. Offer the bottle and ask for help. Seek expert advice in order to fix that latch, to heal your nipples, to protect your milk supply, okay? Just because you start using a bottle does not mean that you are going to have to always be on the bottle. You can go from bottle to breast to bottle seamlessly. It just takes some practice and work and to understand why these challenges are there in the first place. Simply put, do not wait for your hair to be on fire. Saying that, I think I'm gonna wait to see if this gets any worse, means that you're telling yourself that you're comfortable with it actually getting worse. That is not what you want to do. We want to get ahead of this and just enjoy the whole process of being a new mom. Something else that you need to know. So here's your golden nugget. Offering milk in an alternative feeding method, so cup, syringe, or bottle, means that you have to collect the milk or pump the milk to get it there. Collecting it on a Tuesday and feeding it on a Thursday could potentially tell your body that the milk supply that you had on a different day was great, but today is too much, or that your body is allowed to reduce milk production. If you don't remove milk from your body thinks that it's not needed and that it doesn't need to produce that amount of milk. It takes a ton of energy in order to produce milk, and your body is also trying to heal itself and supply you with the nutrients to survive. So if it thinks that you don't need to produce that amount of milk, your body's not going to want to produce it. So simply put, milk supply generally decreases if there is also a decrease in stimulation or milk removal. Before anyone jumps on me for saying that, I just want to reiterate that I'm talking about maintaining a current level, your current level of milk supply or your milk production. So if you were an oversupplier and you didn't see much of a change, there was still a change. It's just, it didn't impact your body or it didn't impact your kiddo, but it did ultimately decrease your milk supply, at least by a little bit. If there's anything that I have said so far that you need more information on, be sure to comment below so that way I know what videos to make and how to specifically help you. If you're an entrepreneur looking to harmonize your breastfeeding journey with running a business, then go ahead and check out the link below so that way you can apply for the Breastfeeding Success for Entrepreneurs program. And in that program, you get live support from me to make this process a lot easier. I'm Nalini Dass, an internationally board certified lactation consultant and a nursing mama. From my personal experience, I have been through the ringer when it comes to latch, supply, gut issues, all of it. Seriously, all of it. And I've been able to use my professional, academic, and personal experience in order to really provide strategies that help other mamas navigate this challenging time so that way they don't have to figure out things on their own. be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video if you want more tips and strategies so that way you can comfortably reach your breastfeeding goals. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.